Oh, cool. Okay, welcome to 1:30 meeting. I understand we're going to start with the executive session.
Correct. Mike Moss, Public Services Director. If we'd like to start with potential litigation, executive session for 10 minutes.
Okay, we will adjourn for 10 minutes to potential litigation.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 1:47 p.m. The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 1:53 p.m.
Okay, back from executive session. No decisions rendered. We'll move on. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number one on the list, we have north parking lot schedule. So starting this Friday, we'll hopefully complete our north parking lot project, at least 90% of it. We're grinding. We got a contract with Lakeside to grind the parking lot, including down the hill. On Saturday, they'll be paving the parking lot. And then on Sunday, adding curb stops and striping the parking lot. So come Monday, it'll look like a new one. Core will be adding the additional lighting on the east side, hopefully in the next 7 to 10 days. And then we're adding the pots and shrubbery in the middle later this fall before winter. So looking forward to getting this project off our list. And fortunately, it coincides with the first day of court in this building on Friday, which is item number 2. Just happened to be at the opening in Lakeside for weekend work. There's not a lot of those. Happened to be the same weekend that we're going to have the first Friday court session in this room and also GMR. So I think Savannah might have a little more of an update. They did another walkthrough with court security earlier today with Commissioner Rader, who was also present.
Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. Savannah Clement, Public Works. So we did go ahead and meet today at 10 o'clock and did a walkthrough with the courts and the Sheriff's Office, as well as Northwest Enforcement and the PA's office. So it was a big group. They went ahead and set up all the security measures that would be in place as if it were a Friday court date. And we talked a lot about signage, which doors will be closed to the public. And I'll be sending out a press release later this afternoon, kind of showing where people need to be parked. And I will I'll make sure the board has a copy of that and is able to see that as well. But as far as that goes, I think we're as ready as we'll ever be to start court over here on a Friday. Just so you guys are aware, a district court will likely be here every Friday with court starting at 9 a.m. Superior Court is a little bit different in that they may not know until the day before whether they're holding court here in the Commissioner's hearing room. So just want to make sure you guys were aware of that and on board. So any questions on court at admin on Fridays? Just moving on, trying to give my weekly HVAC project. So the loud construction started today. We had our power outage over the weekend. It was very successful. And by that, I mean, we had power restored, IT functionality working, heating and cooling working for the system that's still in place. And we didn't have any major setbacks or issues. So very excited about that. And we have a brand new switchgear panel, multiple panels down there in that garage. So, anyway, just fun stuff. And coming up, we're going to have a department move, starting our first move with the DEM. We met with Scott and his team this morning to start planning and preparing for that. I'm thankful it's DEM because they're a small group. Scott and his team have been very flexible with us, and we're trying to kind of work out any kinks with a smaller group for when we move into larger groups like the Sheriff's Office and the PA's office, which have the most people that we'll have to kind of rehome for a short period of time. So, we also hope to have next Thursday that construction kickoff meeting. And so that will be a virtual option as well as an in-person. And I'm hoping to plan it in the GMR. But if people can't make it in person, that's fine. We'll have kind of a Zoom option going on as well. A lot of the information you'll probably already know, but for those who maybe aren't on all the meetings and the calls and the updates, they'll have an opportunity to attend and ask questions as well. Any questions on the Hall of Justice HVAC project? Okay. Moving right along, the facades, the front facade update. I do have some handouts. There are pictures. Thank you. Should have done that earlier. Pictures of the front of the admin building. I did tell the board last week they had that kickoff event to start talking about construction and planning. This is just a picture showing you where the investigation areas are, first and foremost, what we would consider our problem areas. And we're going to actually we had different scenarios on how we would start kind of approaching the facade of this building and whether it was scaffolding or man lifts. We're trying to avoid scaffolding the whole front of the building for several reasons, but the cost is one of them. It's very expensive to mobilize scaffolding. And then also it's pretty unsightly when it has to be up there for a while. So for this phase of the project, we're actually proposing having a boom truck. You can see that truck there, that Silverado there, kind of in a similar parking spot as they are, and the ability to move and lift around that whole front of the building. And we're actually looking to do that 13th, 14th, and 15th. And this phase will be truly exploratory at this point. So we're getting that information with our contractor. And then AEDA will use the information that they've discovered to develop a plan for repair. So probably have an update in the next couple of weeks on how that's going and what they found for you guys. Any questions on that? That is all I have.
Is the
Oh, go
boom
ahead.
truck is going to try to avoid putting the scaffolding up on the two outer sides?
Correct. I think at some point we'll have to install scaffolding, but the way the scaffolding works is it's an upfront cost, which is a few $1,000s to even mobilize and get it here. Then they have a minimum monthly rental. And so we're kind of trying to, if we don't need it right now, we're trying to push that a little bit until we actually start the repair piece of the project. Trying to save some money there.
And so basically, no investigation has happened at this point, right?
Other than by our staff and our walkthroughs with EDA, there hasn't been a full-scale investigation. And with investigation, what I mean is they are doing things, it's tapping, they're using vibration and sound, they're trying to determine where the weak points are. They know based off of what we've already done, which is just mainly tapping, and those, they're kind of bubbles around it. Those are our main investigation areas because of the age and how they were repaired years ago, which wasn't correct. So we're starting there, moving on. We'll actually do all of the building, but starting here first, using better techniques than what we have.
You said they were repaired years ago?
They were, and they have been over time, but we don't have record of when the last repair was done.
Do you know how they repaired it the last time?
I don't know exactly, but from what Dylan has explained to me, when you're looking at the side of the building, you can see like the round fill holes. And what they did is kind of, they drilled in and either filled in behind it, or they removed pieces and put in new, because the pieces that we can see and we think were repairs are different from the rest of the building. They're newer, they look newer, they're different shades or colors. So that's how we've, as a facilities team, approached it, but they're going to be able to give us a lot more detail. I don't know that they'll be able to tell us when they were repaired, but hopefully they answered your question.
Do these facades all does it have to stay the same material because we're a historical building or anything, or is there
I think we have to try to,
stuff they could use?
yeah, I think we have to try best match as far as look goes. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that. Material might be the question.
I get you probably have to keep the look
Yes.
fairly close, but I'm just a question on, is there maybe a more modern, safer, easier material? And if we're not allowed to use that because it's historical?
We're going to have to work with the state agency that oversees, because it is an established national, I don't know if it's on a national or state level, state courthouse. So we'll probably have to work with them if there's proposals to change
Gotcha.
that composition, I think.
I'm wondering, if they put new pieces up, did the old ones fall down, or did they break them off in order to replace them and know what they had putting them up?
I don't know that I can't answer that. Not that I don't know. I can't answer that today, but I could find out if Dylan can do a little bit more digging.
From my industrial background, I'm wondering why they didn't just drill a hole in there, put a quick bolt in there, and then cover it up from the outside with mortar. From the ground, you'd never know the difference.
Right. And I can speak to the piece that fell off and what was behind it. It's a miracle it hasn't fallen off sooner, because there's nothing behind it. There is no bolts, there's nothing to anchor it.
It was just original mortar they stuck it up
Yes.
there with, and now that it's getting wet and freezing,
And-
and just like any.
And the
rock
water's running
formation.
behind it. So yes, that's what we think.
Okay. Happy days.
There's always a project. All right, I think I'm done, and I'll give it over to Susan. We have a WashDOT update.
So good afternoon, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. So I started talking to you guys back in June about the WashDOT West Side Highway Culvert Project. So when I came and spoke with you in June, they were, let's do a detour route. And then they backed away from that. And so I happened to reach out to WashDOT yesterday about, are we still doing that project this year or not? And I found out, well, they were supposed to shut the road down yesterday, but they are a week behind. So starting next Monday, they will be closing down SR 411 West Side Highway to local traffic only once you get south of Castle Rock. They are physically putting in road closed barriers at Hoyer Road to limit it to only the people who live directly off of West Side Highway down to Beverly Heights Road, which is a private road. And then northbound, it'll be shut off at Waters Road. The larger piece of paper that Mike handed out is their traffic control plan. So it includes portable changeable message signs out on the highway, which talks about the West Side Highway being closed and that the detour is to stay on I-5, and then putting the temporary signs out on Castle Rock. The roadway will be closed until October 13th, according to the schedule that I received, where they're going to pull the existing culvert, install a 14-foot diameter culvert, put the materials in, and repave the roadway. I did a quick calculation, which is why I gave you the aerial, because as you all know, and local people will drive up West Side Highway, hop on Cook's Ferry, hop on Hoyer, and get back on West Side Highway. So I printed out the aerial map for you guys to see that there are 3 homes on Hoyer and 7 on Cook's Ferry that will have this increased traffic coming in front of them. Currently, WashDOT has SR 411 limited to 10,000 GVW, which I can't remember what all the letters stand for.
Gross
So-
vehicle weight.
Thank you. I just blanked on it and I was like, whoo. I was making it all kinds of weird things in my brain, so. I guess what I'm here is to give you an update and ask for a little direction on a couple things, because I know that people will be calling Public Works, they'll be calling you guys about this project and how long is it going to be. So one question is, would you like Public Works to put out a public notice informing the public that, hey, this WashDOT project is starting? If you have specific questions about the project, you need to be calling WashDOT, not the county commissioners and not county Public Works, because we have no control over it. So that's one item that I had a question about. The others are, if our 7 residents on Hoyer and Cooks Ferry start complaining about speeding, if you guys want us to try and deploy temporary speed bumps again. And then potentially, do you want us to put a weight limit on Hoyer to match the states? Cooks Ferry is what we have designated for the people who haul out of Cooks Ferry. So it's kind of designated for a truck route, but Hoyer is a local access, low volume.
It doesn't store all haul out of Cook's Ferry right
Yeah,
now. So
yeah.
I don't know you can weight limit that one, but
But I was
You
thinking
could
that we could,
Hoyer.
yeah, that was my thought also, weight limit Hoyer, but not Cooks Ferry. So that would get the through trucks not driving through.
and I think being proactive, those speed bumps worked really well over here. It really calmed the neighbors down. So I don't think that's a big cost to us. It seems like it's pretty
No, we
easy.
had, I believe,
I don't
4
know how
over
you
there.
make it. Are you talking about making the big trucks go over them too, or are you just talking about Hoyer?
I would put them on Hoyer,
Yeah.
and maybe north of where they're hauling, where Stordal's hauling out on Cooksbury. I don't know how many do we have in stock right now?
Yeah, we have 3 in stock. I believe we still have one at Cowlitz
Garden.
Gardens. So we had 3 in stock to install.
WashDOT decided not to make that a detour. The neighbors must have been hollering. Would be my
Potentially.
guess.
Yes, either that or they looked at the road condition and thought, oh, if we let this be the detour route, they could potentially be paying the county some money to upgrade the roadway.
Yeah. My guess is, well, the locals will probably use that or they'll go by the turn before that goes forward back and that,
Oh,
Yes.
Sandy Bend.
yeah,
through there.
Sandy Bend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you'll send more of them over to Pleasant Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the striping, you were talking about the striping. I saw they got that. It looks good on
Mhm.
there. You were talking about it being brighter and stuff.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
much better this year.
I think I would agree with putting out the letter or the notice that says this is a state project, not the
Yeah.
county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't bother us.
Put their phone
Don't
number-
put that on.
Put their phone number in like 60 font.
Yeah. Half a page tall. Yeah.
Won't mind that.
So you think this will be closed this coming Monday?
According to the email that I have, they were originally planning on closing it yesterday.
Oh,
And I happened to, we had a countywide we have a county transportation meeting tomorrow, and somebody from WashDOT already always gives updates. So I reached out and said, well, you didn't include anything on the 411 project. So that's the only reason I found out about it. And it's, they're a week behind, so they're going to do it next week.
Next week.
Mike says the signs on I-5 have changed from the weight limit to the road being closed.
How long are they expecting to have it closed?
Mid-October, so 6 weeks about.
about a month and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, hell, that's not enough time to get many complaints.
Whose district is that?
Well, I think we're gonna temporarily assign that.
Oh, 411? Getting that call over there.
I got an addition to that sign.
Bet you do. Yeah, you need a whole 4x8 something for
Yeah, I know.
for your wording. Um,
All right, so we have an exciting path forward to
Okay.
try and avoid all of the calls for you guys and for us.
I think I'll hang on to this and talk about it on Tuesday. too,
Yeah.
Just to bring it up.
every Tuesday between
Yeah,
now and October.
I hear you. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, those are all the same. Okay, so our next is a crosswalk request. So none of you were here back in 2021. So in 2020, I received a request from Waltz Meats, which is down on South Pekin in Woodland. And what Mike handed out is the aerial where you see Waltz Meats on one side and they installed their parking lot on the other side. So their request was a mid-block crosswalk for that location. So being the little diligent engineer that I am, I went through, we've had a traffic count in 2020 that showed an ADT of 1251. And with the 85th percentile speed of 37.7. I got information on Waltz Meets on the number of pedestrian traffic and checked the collision reports. So my analysis at that time was that it doesn't meet the general standard warrants for a mid-block crosswalk. So they have 230 employees that cross their max number of trips at their peak hours, 230. All of their employees park on the opposite side of the road as their facility. They do not have a break room on the facility, so their staff crosses back and forth their morning break, their afternoon break, their lunch break, and anybody who's going out smoking. So now fast forward to, so in January of 2021, I brought that forth to the board, and at that time we decided we weren't going to move forward with the mid-block crosswalk. So we're now in 2025, and they've started calling again, including reaching out to the sheriff's department. We are still at so for reference, to get a mid-block crosswalk, you need to have, the reason this location doesn't go by the engineering warrants for a mid-block crosswalk is the ADT out there. So the ADT of 1250, which ironically, it came up to the same when we did a count in March this year. The traffic volumes on South Pekin have not changed since 2020 to 2025. We're still getting the same traffic volumes. So on a two-lane roadway, with less than 45 miles per hour speed limit, with normal walking conditions, let me change that. Normal pedestrians, so not young children or elderly. So what you would design for a normal person walking down the street. In order to go into the install crosswalk side of the graph, you really need to have an ADT approaching 4,000, which we don't have out there. So by engineering warrants, this does not meet the mid-crosswalk warrants. So we have had the other request. I know the sheriff's office has also been involved about getting this mid-crosswalk out there. Based on an engineering study, it wouldn't warrant it, but based on the employees' perceptions and the property owners' perceptions, they feel that there should be a mid-block crosswalk. Mike has some information also.
Yeah, the property owners reached out and said they'd actually pay up to $10,000 to help install the crosswalk and the signage approaching the crosswalk. Sheriff Thurman sent the Public Works a letter requesting a crosswalk in that area after observing it with their staff. How many people walk across there, but the daily counts aren't super high, but they said they watched a lot of close calls at that point when they observed that area. So they felt with the need for a crosswalk from the property owner plus the property owner wanting to help pay for the cost of that, it'd be beneficial for the county to install one there. And that's why I went to the engineer.
So did you say the ADT has to be 4,000?
To warrant a mid-block crosswalk, yes. Because there's been lots of studies, and I don't have any of them with me, that mid-block crosswalks a lot of times give people a false sense of security because you're walking, it's marked, you assume people are going to stop, so that people are more cautious when they cross when there is not a marked crosswalk, is what the research shows. So that's what makes mid-block crosswalks more dangerous. For example, the state removed their mid-block crosswalk out here on Allen Street because they were having issues with pedestrian strikes and near misses. And that is pretty standard out there. And that's why they removed it and lowered the speed limit to help prevent those.
So a mid-block crosswalk doesn't have any flashing lights or anything. It's just marked on the ground.
It's just marked on the ground, and in this case, we'd install warning signs coming up to, like you do in the school. So when you're coming up to a school zone, they mark the crosswalks within a certain distance of a school. All of the crosswalks, you'll have crosswalk warning signs. So in this location, because it is not a standard location, we would put warning signs out there that there's an unusual, I mean, we don't have any crosswalks marked in the Woodland Bottoms. None of the intersections, we have nothing marked out there. So it's an unusual condition, so we'd put up the warning signs prior to it.
So what would the cost be, total cost be to put in put in this crosswalk?
Between paint and signs, 4,000 tops.
And he said he'd pay 10 grand of it.
And what would it cost to put in a solar powered flashing light for somebody to push a button?
Do you remember what the school cost was a few years ago? So out in Carroll's, Elementary School and at Lexington Elementary School, the school paid to put those signs in, and we're just maintaining them moving forward. And I can't remember what they bought them for.
I think it was $4,000 to $6,000 in that range for a flashing.
For each, if you have one on each side, so it's gonna be $12,000 roughly, 10 to 12.
10 to 12, correct.
So if it's 230 employees and they don't have a break room, there's essentially there's over 1,000 people walking across that throughout the day.
Yeah, correct.
And I can tell you, I pheasant hunt in that field right across from Waltz, and on foggy mornings, I've driven through there when they're crossing the road, and they're hard to see because they're wearing those white jackets or whatever they got on. I've had some close calls with people when it's foggy in the morning at that location.
Did you have your headlights on? Oh.
My fog lights on. And those are new owners at Waltz as a couple last year, I think.
I do not know.
I think they are.
Basically, they're willing to pay for a crosswalk.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much cost of it. The county be up, the county to maintain it over the years, but they
Yeah.
pretty much willing to pay for the upfront cost of it, correct?
Do you think there'd be any, I don't know why, but would the city have any issue with us?
I don't
Being
think the
down in
city
there.
would have any issue, but I can't speak for the city because I'm not good at reading their mind.
Would it be any, I can't imagine any detriment to the drivers. They have to stop if they see somebody coming across anyway, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Seems reasonable to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. we will.
I'd even go so far as to say that if the county pays for the crosswalk, if he puts his $10,000 plus to the solar powered signs on each side of this street.
I think the lights would make a big difference, especially when it's foggy down there, and
Yeah.
it's foggy quite a bit.
It's either foggy or windy down there, it seems.
All right, we'll move forward.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
That's it from
That-
our side, I
Thank
believe.
you. Okay.
Sheriff's Office may have a few items, but if you have any more items for Public Works before the Sheriff's Office comes to visit.
I do have one thing.
Yes.
That was brought to my attention this weekend. At the top of Green Mountain and that intersection where we just chip sealed up at the top of Green Mountain there. I don't know what that crossroad is. Shirley Gordon. That intersection that's there, I was asked about putting stop signs in because of the way it's designed, the roads are kind of offset and trucks in particular go flying through there. They were wondering if we could look at putting possible stop signs in there at that intersection because the stop signs that are there are for the roads, the cars going one way, but not the other.
Okay.
So if we could just look at that and if you could get back
Sure.
to me on that, what you think.
We'll do.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, this is one of those Y intersections where they don't come in at 90. So it's a four-way. Okay,
But it's offset. It's a really weird four-way.
okay.
Yeah.
That'll help me make sure I get the right, because I know Shirley Gordon hits it twice.
Thank you. And when we're striping parking lots, are we putting certain names on certain spots? So,
I won't say anything. I used to have my own spot. I was number 12.
you may not want the citizens to know where you
Yeah, I
park.
know it, exactly.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jordan Spencer, Chief Admin Deputy with the Sheriff's Office. This is kind of an ongoing conversation and we're just trying to finalize it. I know we talked previously. This is a request that was brought to us by the courts. And the judges are seeing an increase in need for security at the jail courtroom. And it was discussed And well, the request that we're making is to add a deputy position to that, to the jail courtroom. It's going to be a 40-hour, up to 40-hour position is kind of what the courts have determined. It's a full day, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then half day on Wednesdays that we would staff it. And then Fridays would kind of be up in the air according to the courts and what they've got planned. And so we discussed the option of putting another second court deputy over at the jail during that time, similar to like we have at the Hall of Justice currently. Katrina did a great job getting numbers put together to see what costs and things like that would be. And for she ran it through from September to December of this year, so we can get a cost to remaining this year, because I think the court's request was to get that started as soon as possible. And we'd be looking at an increase of about $65,293 for the rest of the year. That was based off September 1st, which obviously we're past, so it'd be maybe a little bit less than that if we got that started by next week, but that's including the Social Security and retirement that she did that work as well. And then for the years moving forward, based on 2,080 hours, which is a 40-hour work week, we're looking at a total with Social Security and retirement, 188,600 for that additional cost to have a deputy staffed at the request of the courts.
Say that again, 188,000 per year?
Yes, for a full year, 188,626. That's including wages, Social Security, paid family, all the benefits as well. And that's staffing a deputy on overtime, like the system that we're using at the Hall of Justice currently. And this position was requested to be more in the gallery in the viewing area to take enforcement action in the courts for the judges.
So I think somewhere the numbers don't add up in my head from our previous discussion that we had. 188,000, so basically that's the cost of a deputy per year minus a vehicle.
No, the cost is a little bit more because, or excuse me, this cost is a little bit less than previously discussed because the original cost was based on that kind of that 5-day-a-week coverage, and we base this off of we're slating it for 40, but it may not be 40 every week just because of the half a day on Wednesdays and the potential for Fridays. But generally, well, they didn't have a general idea of when Fridays were going to occur or not. So we based off a 40-hour work week, which was the recommendation of the judge at the time, that should be sufficient to staff the court costs. Because the other request was based off of 2,500 hours for the year, and this one was 2,080.
And didn't we base that off of just adding overtime to
Correct.
current? Yeah.
Yep.
How long have they been using the court over there?
The jail court? Oh, it's been every bit of 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
been a
up-
while.
Up to this point, it's just been, we've had our contract with our security company that covered that.
Correct. And that's the next place we're going, is to go over and look at the facility again, because we do have the new machine. It's sitting over there, waiting to be set up, and we're looking at different options on how to set that up. But most likely it's going to be outside the hallway, further away from the courtroom. And that was a concern of theirs as well, in not having an immediate response for those issues in there, because a lot of the court that they have over there is out of custody concerns. And so they've had issues where families of victim and families of suspect are in the same room in close proximity, and there's nobody there to, I guess, keep an eye on what's going on in there.
Jordan, was there something that said statutorily we couldn't have security apprehend someone? Is that why we're?
Yes, when the original discussion was taking place, there was, we looked at just adding a Northwest enforcement body to that position. However, the requests from the courts were, ended up being work that, it was deputy work, taking in custody, handcuffs, contempt of court, that type of thing. And that was it's a bargaining position for the deputies in the guild, so. Any other questions?
Well, there's only one question in my mind. I think if we want it, we're gonna try and accommodate it. To me, it's who's gonna pay for it. Whose budget does it come out of? If they're the ones that want it, I kind of think it comes out of their budget. But that's just me. And it's open for discussion, but
Certainly wouldn't disagree with you.
if I always feel like I like to try and accommodate, what they're asking for, and I take it on faith that it's a real need that they're asking for and not just a want.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, they
to
certainly
me, it's
approached
open
us.
on who pays for it.
Yeah, they approached us with the idea, and, we
Yeah.
looked at several different options and have talked about several different options.
And that's not uncommon, right? When a department requests something where it'll come out of whatever budget is requesting that extra person or whatever the FTE for whatever service is being provided.
Uh, That's the way I think. If somebody wants it, then they should, I don't mind accommodating it, but they cover it. But, I don't know. I found this arena doesn't always work that way. But as far as trying to accommodate what they're asking for, I think we try and do that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and this way prevents pulling a patrol deputy off the road
Yeah.
as well, which we certainly don't want to do.
Yeah, I think we'll get into
Budget stuff is coming up, so that
We'll get
question
a
can be
discussion
answered,
about
yeah.
at what point does want become need? I
Mm-hmm.
think part of that's gonna become a serious discussion, but we'll see. Okay.
But we'll have further budget discussions on 25, but 24, they're wanting to get this going, so
For this year?
yeah.
Yeah, that was the request. They had asked, how quickly we could get it staffed. And obviously this was the next step to ensure that at least for the remainder of this year, the 65,000 was okayed. And we were anticipating that we could probably start to fill those shifts by Monday.
Yeah. Jordan, actually, I'm in favor of starting out because it gives a little history as we move into the budget.
Sure.
If we see something that looks totally like it's not going to work, at least we can address it, right?
Right. Yeah. If it looks like it's closer to 30 hours or closer to 50 hours,
Yeah.
that certainly would give us an idea.
Yeah.
So for, at least for the rest of this year, is that gonna be overtime hours that we're
Correct.
covering?
Yep. That is based off the overtime rate, the same overtime rate that we're using for the 1 Charlie 4 unit at the Hall of Justice. It's just another body.
I actually think you've got hours available built into your overtime from the last budget.
I believe so. Yes,
I
believe so.
I don't think this last quarter is really a budget increase. I think it's already accounted for.
Yes,
right
we
there.
have the
So-
capacity.
Yeah.
For this one, it's my
Yeah.
understanding, yes.
So that makes me fairly comfortable with it for this year, and then we can have further discussion, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You doing basketball this year?
Oh, yeah.
When do you start up?
First practice is November 17th, so
November 17th?
I'm knee deep in game film right now.
Yeah. You feel like you got some good kids?
We've got some good kids. It's gonna be a tough league
Yeah.
this year. We got some pretty tough opponents this year, so we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
good,
Yeah,
good.
looking forward to it, though.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other miscellaneous? You guys all good? Okay. We have miscellaneous, Remind, I know you want executive on contract negotiations. Remind me of the second one. Sorry.
Employee, performance of a public employee.
Okay. And time wise,
5 minutes on the contract negotiations and then maybe 10 on the public employee.
okay, so we're going to executive session, contract negotiations, 5 minutes, performance of public employee, 10, so 15 total. Okay.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 10 minutes until 3:02 p.m. The board is extending the executive session for a period of 10 minutes until 3:12 p.m.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. Anything else?
We did get that workshop scheduled with, the people from the river and Mount St. Helens and that stuff. So I think that's at the end of, 23rd. I think it is. So I'm gonna be contacting some people to make sure that we get them at that workshop.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
As long as Jim Mallett's not here, I'll be good. I'm serious. I won't support anything that guy is involved with.
I'm not gonna invite him.
You,
Yeah,
lie to me, that's the end of it. Okay. With that,
We already did it. That's okay.
We couldn't get our times. They would call it, and we tried calling you and they leave. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We got it squared away. Yep, thank you.
okay, we will adjourn.